Hello and welcome to Access Chat. I'm delighted to welcome Vishal Pujar, who is a colleague of mine. So nepotism in action today on Access Chat. But in all seriousness, it's great to have you with us, Vishal. We've featured a number of our team and the Billion Strong and Global team over the years, and that's because everybody's doing good stuff in the world of accessibility. So please tell us a little bit about your role. Of course, I know, but for the rest of the audience, please tell us a bit about your role, and then we'd love to hear about your journey into accessibility, because we're always curious as to how people come to work in the space of accessibility, because most of our journeys aren't, in a straight line.
Sure. Yeah. Many thanks, Neil and Debra. I would like to first of all extend my heartfelt gratitude for inviting me to the Access Chat. It's truly an honor to be given this opportunity to share my insight and experience with your audience. Many thanks for this. So, I'm Vishal Pujar, head of accessibility for Atos India. Overall, 17 plus years of IT industry experience, and out of which 12 plus years of into the accessibility space. Uh, so that's what I'm happy to be here and have a discussion and knowledge sharing session. Thank you.
Great. And we're glad to have you here. So you said you've worked for 12 years in the accessibility space, but how did you come to work in that space? And I know that you, aside from the work that you're doing for me and Atos and our clients, you also do volunteering work in the space. So maybe we'll touch on that shortly. But
Sure.
so what was your journey from working in mainstream IT into, oh, now I'm going to do this accessibility thing?
Yeah, that's really a great story. Actually, I started my career working for couple of startups initially, and it was like for the customers like Paramount Pictures and Warner Brothers, doing a localization kind of testing and auditing kind of stuff. And when I joined Capgemini, I wanted to kind of lead bigger teams. So HR came and okay told me there's a project going on. Just go and start leading the teams. And when I ended up looking at the team, I realized that it was a big team, and we wanted to deliver auditing and remediation for the banking clients because there was lawsuits filed, and we wanted to make them compliant from accessibility standpoint. While I was kind of supporting the team, I realized that we are not up to the mark while delivering the things, because we are raising issues, we are trying to remediate the things, but still it was not up to the mark. And I realized that the user experience touch is missing. It's just not fixing the issues and seeing everything is working with different assistive technologies, but yes, the user experience touch was missing. While I was doing this, I was mentored by one of the manager in Capgemini, Ghanshyam Tiwari. He always supported me and helped me to do different innovations. Uh, so that was the area. I realized the pain that disabled users are going through it, and I decided that yes, this is one area. This is a special skills that we need to start looking into it. While doing the excellence and innovation in this field, we also try and support the disabled users, and this is how my journey started. So after working for 5 years or more than 5 years with Capgemini, uh, I was kind of hired by HSBC for doing the accessibility stuff for India. And I started taking care of accessibility for HSBC, trying to do a digital transformation for them. And I met a nice guy who was also my mentor, Suresh Dwadasi, who led the uh, digital part of HSBC. He gave me a freedom, and he also ensured that I engaged with all the stakeholders to see that the accessibility is taken care from the design phase. So we had a good kind of wavelength matching with each other and did a lot of things uh, to ensure the digital transformation happens. And we reached at an excellence where everyone started thinking and caring and taking care of their accessibility needs in their day job. So I worked for HSBC for more than 5 years, and then it was Neil who thought that I should join him, and we had an interview discussion, and he offered me. So I joined Atos more than 2 years now with Atos. While working with Atos, I realized that the things I was doing earlier from accessibility standpoint, like website accessibility testing, mobile application auditing testing, or document remediation part, digital transformation, it's more or less 30-40% of the work. But there are quite a few different things apart from the auditing and testing. And then I started learning the things, and I also wanted to validate my knowledge. So during this journey, I validated my knowledge with getting certified on IAAP. I'm IAAP certified CPAC, WAS, and CPWA. I'm trying to, the next target is though the ADS certification. So along with this, I now also get the opportunities because I work with Neil and Atos. I meet a lot of different stakeholders, different communities, different senior leaderships. I normally get an opportunity to go and talk in different forums and different conferences about the diversity, inclusion, equality, and accessibility. Uh, this is one area. While in other area, I go and support some blind organizations like Pune Blind Men's Association. I go and train the vision impaired students to get market ready for jobs. Also, I work with one of my friend who is doctor. He is MD in Ayurveda, and he has a concept to start and run an eye hospital with help of vision impaired staff.
Wow.
It's a unique concept wherein we achieve two things: the caring of eyes, along with giving a job opportunity to vision impaired individuals.
And
And I like, yeah,
are both of those efforts in India also? And those are your nonprofit, I should say, your volunteer efforts that are separate from Atos. Just to,
yes,
which, by the way, I appreciate that too. But I just wanted to
Yeah.
get that clarity.
Although I have been dragged in to support some of those.
Good,
So
right?
yeah,
People are passionate.
rightly so. So, but yes, yeah, we all,
yeah,
I think, in the team do stuff
Everybody has their
outside.
passion.
Yeah, we
People
all
in
do
this
stuff outside the
field,
day. Yeah,
people in this field are in this field because they care about,
yeah,
you know, the
absolutely.
community.
yeah.
Um, but I
And you
would
know what?
say,
Because Neil has the supporting hand, it's like I'm able to do all these different things along with my day job, and that's one of the thing I keep on learning on daily basis, because accessibility domain is so vast. I feel that daily I see something, it's new for me. I keep on learning some new things.
I agree.
uh,
So are you saying, not to compliment Neil because I don't want to do this, but are you saying that one reason why you're staying at Atos, as somebody that is extremely talented, you just talked about some of the brands you've worked with. Obviously, you have a lot of experience. You are the type of person we are all looking for that has a vast amount of experience and understands you. You want to even learn more. So it sounds to me, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but one thing that I think I heard you say was because Neil supports you so you can not only thrive in your work, but also do things outside work that are really meaningful to you. And at the same time, not that it matters, it also makes you better at your work. But Is that what you're saying? Because if it is, I wanted to just comment on that, but I didn't want to put those words in your mouth.
No, obviously, I mean, because of the support, uh, I always tend to go extra mile. The day job is one aspect of it, but apart from my day job, I also enjoy supporting the CSR kind of activities and the activities which I do apart from my day job, right? So
Right. Right.
it's only because of his support.
I agree. And the point I was making, once again, don't mean to accidentally, compliment Neil, but the point that I am making, though, is that brands need to pay attention to what Neil and Atos has done, because accessibility, as you just so wisely said, it's gigantic. Even before we got on air, you and I were talking, and I was saying accessibility, people are going to, I don't think it should be a field. I know it's a field, but accessibility is everything. Accessibility is technology. You can't have any digital or technology or built barrier conversations without accessibility. And by the way, privacy, security, all those things have to be. Don't build a building that you can't make secure. Don't do it. We need them to be secure. So at a time when accessibility needs to be in every single thing humans do, it feels to me that the way Neil did it, and I'll give a little tiny bit of credit to Atos because they let him do it, but I believe more credit goes to the individual Neil, went out and found very unique people working in accessibility and disability inclusion and said, I like how you're looking at this. And it wasn't, you obviously are one of our top experts, but that wasn't good enough for you. You wanted to go out and support the industry by getting certified in all the IAAT programs. That is who we need. We need people like you that are making a difference, localizing it on a huge national level in India, but then taking it international. But I don't see that happen. I don't really see this happening very often. I can't think of another company that's doing this. And that's one reason why I'm always sort of nagging Neil to have the rest of the team on. Because if y'all were all coming on and talking about accessibility 101, we wouldn't invite you on. But the reason why I want you on is because you were looking at this from such a different lens. And I'll say one more thing and then be quiet. In that, before you started, you told me you were actually the head of the Global Delivery Center. So I want to get into that too. But Neil, I will let you talk now.
Okay, thank you. And yes, I'm a fully paid up member of your fan club, and the check's in the post. So, goodness me, yes. I mean, I like to find people that are not necessarily traditional in the sense of just matching the basic skills for accessibility. We're always interested in doing the stuff outside of the norm, and I think that Vishal's added to what we've done over the last few years by leading on some of our events, coordinating our innovation competitions with GIZ and stuff like that. So I think it's those areas that we've benefited. My team have benefited. I've benefited from Vishal being in the team, but also probably the things that keep Vishal motivated. It's not let's do another audit. I mean, everybody's motivated to grow, and we can talk about the global delivery centers. They are what our organization terms for. These are our where we have capabilities and skilled people who are in offshore locations that then go and do all of the complex work for our clients. So Vishal is responsible for that.
Country, then that place where they understand the culture.
Yeah, but also delivering to other countries. So delivering to UK, delivering to US. Because like most large tech companies, we have a presence in India, a large one, and in some other countries as well, where we deliver offshore services, and so our global delivery centers support our clients around the world.
Right. But I think really so, and I just think that the other corporate brands, because one thing I'm trying to do, Vishal, is I'm trying to, and we are having some success. We've created Billion Strong, to where we get the 1.3 to 1.7 billion people with disabilities to come together with pride, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, our community does not feel heard. We do not feel like these corporations understand what our needs are listening to us, except with the few exceptions. And I'm always asked, which corporate brands do you think are doing it right? And it's not that brands are doing it right or not doing it right, but I do appreciate Neil's leadership and Atos, because accessibility is so much more than what so many people are making it. Most people are talking about it from 101 in compliance, and that is not helping our community. So from my community perspective, the community of people with lived experiences with disabilities, we need brands to be more innovative like you are being. I want to know who Vishal is. I want it localized. I want to know he's speaking for the people there, but then he's taking that knowledge and he's taken it into other countries. So I get that this could look like an Atos commercial, but I'm not making this an Atos commercial. I'm making this. Neil's accessibility team is really amazing. And this is the kind of teams we need brands to have. Atos is just smart enough to have these talented individuals. But I really, and I know y'all can't completely have this conversation with me because Atos pays you, but the reality is, we do need brands to be acting like you're acting. So I was just wondering if we couldn't explore that a little bit more, because Vishal, don't you agree? Because you cannot make this about accessibility 101. We can't keep doing that. We're not driving innovation. We know how to make technology and buildings, everything fully accessible. We know how to do it now, but we're not doing it. So I was just curious what y'all think.
Yeah, I mean, so when we talk about disability and accessibility, I mean, I would want to quote my example. So I have experienced disabilities at a times, because I got glasses at my ninth class, and uh, it has broken many a times while playing, because I was fond of playing cricket and volleyball. I was playing at state level cricket and volleyball. So I mean, I realized that, I mean, when my glasses broke, I mean, until I get the new one, a day or two, I have to face the challenges, right? So in a way, I am disabled, because now I am using contact lenses to fix my vision. And I feel proud talking about the disability, because um, actually, if you think from India perspective, while you raise the question about the numbers and percentages of disability, uh, the percentage is like 2.2% of whole population in India. If that's what we get normally when we Google out the percentages, but these are just the percentages who have been registered themselves as disabled. Apart from that, the number we don't know who have not registered, the number we don't know the aging group, the number we don't know like me. So the number in comparison to the total population of India is huge,
Yes, it is.
huge number. And that's where, I mean, in comparison to other countries, I still think that we only see the infrastructure that has been improved for disabilities in airports and railway stations, but there are other areas like public transports in India, the roads, the footpaths. This needs to be more accessible. So that's my viewpoint when I connect the dots that the question you asked.
Well said. I agree. Neil, do you want to come in?
Yeah, and when we've been working on some of these infrastructure projects and the innovation challenges, we were looking at how we could use technology to mitigate the impact of climate change and disaster on people with disabilities in India, for example. And we were working with one of our colleagues, Yasmina Khanna, who also had a sideline with running an NGO looking at physical access, because she's a wheelchair user and campaigner that was really pushing for better physical infrastructure. But it's a mixture. So we recognize that it's a mixture of physical and digital infrastructure. And to go back to your comments about people know how to make buildings accessible and apps accessible, I'd actually say that the knowledge is there. It's documented how to do it, but lots of people don't actually know how to do it.
Agreed.
Because
Meaning
they
the knowledge
haven't,
is there, right? The
right?
knowledge is there.
Yeah.
Right.
It's documented how you can do it. It's not a problem that's never been solved before, but it's a thing that still comes up as almost like I never knew, far too often in conversations. So whilst you say we don't want to do 101, actually we find ourselves doing 101 a lot of the time. So how do you keep yourselves from dying of boredom doing the same thing every day? Well, you do that by trying to find innovation, whether that be through running competitions so you see new things and you connect to new groups, or like the stuff we're doing with Zero Project and GIZ now. That at least gives us something fresh, because actually, after 20 plus years, people are still talking about alt text. Damn it, last night's Access chat was also talking about alt text, but it was in the context of actually we can do something better. And so I think that that's part of it. But the other part, in terms of you're asking about vision, is actually, whilst you can know how to do individual things, it's how do you do it systemically? And so how do you do it at organizational level or at a meta level? And that's where there aren't systems and there isn't knowledge, and where we are in sort of somewhat uncharted territories. And I think that this is where we're interested in growing and going as an organization, because there are people out there are companies out there are professionals out there that are extremely talented and doing great work in accessibility, but we're a large IT systems integrator transformation organization, and so the vision is to integrate it all, to make it part and parcel of how you transform organizations and part of the DNA, and to have platforms that enable people to manage. And I think that that's a somewhat different proposition to we're capable of testing and giving you an audit result. Obviously, Vishal's team have the capabilities to do that testing, give you audit results, support you to fix the things and whatever, but that's not the long-term vision. And so I know, Deborah, you've got another question for Vishal, I think. So I'll shut up because it's not meant to be an interview about me.
Yeah, I mean, before you go to the next question, I mean, my motivation, because Neil talked about our vision. I mean, it's not about just auditing and testing and other things, but my motivation comes from the desire to make a positive impact by breaking down the barriers and enabling equal access for the resources and opportunities for all individuals. Because while I was working with HSBC, I closely worked with vision impaired colleagues, and I understood the real pain and their needs actually, and that's how I normally think in the same angle and try to implement the things within the organizations I normally go.
Yeah, it's. I was going to ask the question, but you actually answered it, Neil. Because one thing that I sometimes ponder is if these gigantic brands need another gigantic brand to support them, because there's so many moving parts. And as I ask myself that question, especially as somebody that is in the field that offers accessibility as part of our services, it's a smaller part these days, but I do believe that the smaller groups absolutely can add value. But I also believe that there is something, if you have never worked in a gigantic corporation. I've worked in multiple ones in the banking field, Vishal. I didn't work at HSBC, but I worked at gigantic organizations. And it is interesting. It's a whole different animal in the way they relate and don't relate, and the way it's so complicated, these gigantic entities. And I was working at $100 million ones. Well, we have $1 trillion ones now. So, but sometimes I do wonder if we need the expertise of the large brands to support the other large brands, because they understand that, oh yeah, okay, you've come up with a plan, you have a maturity model, you're doing the training, you're doing all this, and all of a sudden, oh, we just acquired what? Oh no. So I think that sometimes, and I don't know if that's fair, and I was just curious what y'all think about that. Vishal?
Yeah. You rightly said. I mean, we need the brains actually to develop and create some kind of innovations, right? Because the technologies have potential to revolutionize the accessibility by enabling some personalized and adaptive solutions. But if we have such kind of brains together, we can go an extra mile. We can develop the solutions, and we can bridge the gap for for the disability community. I mean, it's just not for a disability community, or it's for everyone. That's what I think. And you always need a support, you always need a hands to join to work. And that's what I have seen. I mean, working with Neil, it's brilliant. I mean, there's no words actually I can quote about.
Oh,
So that's 2 checks in the post now, one to India, one to the US. Good job Antonio's not here blowing smoke up my behind as well, because I'd be broke. So, yeah. So
sorry to say nice things about you.
no, it's okay.
But there's some truth to it, though, because we need to be a little bit more creative.
Okay, or shucks. So now I think that a couple of points. I think we do need the small vendors and the expert vendors, and they're part of an ecosystem. And lots of the large companies, even the implementers, quite often rely on vendors in their supply chain. Where I think that large systems integrators, I'm using an old-fashioned term because actually I think it's still a lot of what we do, and it explains it better than digital transformation, which is a bit nebulous. We spend a lot of time helping organizations getting their tech to work with other bits of their tech and supporting end users and so on and so forth. And it's that bit and understanding the complexity where the rubber hits the road, and we can be the orchestrators of that adds real value, and not just creates jobs, but enables people to still stay effective and motivated and will be able to continue in their jobs. And I think that in the new world, well, Vishal was mentioning about tech being able to give you new options and empowerment, and I'm sure people, when they watch this, will have just come off the back of Microsoft's Ability Summit and seen a whole bunch of stuff about Copilot and how Copilot supports people with disabilities. But that's embedded in your workplace tools. So the people delivering workplace need to understand the pros and cons and the configuration of Copilot and how to enable that to enable people. So I think that's where organizations that understand complexity and that do the orchestration can benefit other large and complex organizations. And that's not just Atos. I think other SIs should be able to do that as well. And we like to think that we lead on that, but that's where there's a difference between the bespoke consultancies and the large companies. They can play a complementary role. There's certainly enough business for both. Right, and I think there's a real value in both. But I think that's where the real sort of the difference is that, especially where we're delivering that experience, we're connecting those systems, we're delivering those systems, we're doing the integration. Then not only can we identify and hopefully prevent those problems, but we can also fix them when they do occur.
But I will also say, that not all large corporations that offer accessibility services are the same. I have been contacted by lawyers in the United States because several times large, very well-known brands had provided accessibility services and they didn't know what they were doing. So I agree with what you're saying. It is, we need us all in the infrastructure, but just because a brand is really big, please take the time to make sure that they know what they're doing. You should be able to find out very easily if they're engaged in our community conversations. And if a brand is not, just understand the community does not understand why, and we have concerns by that. So I would recommend selecting brands that are engaging with the community.
I think that's fair, but also I would say in terms of balance, that most of these large organizations are so large and so complex that things will always fail. And there will always be projects that go south, and where they don't, where even if they've got experts, they don't assign them, or they don't know to assign them. And so there's, because in an organization of hundreds of thousands of people don't necessarily make the connections. They make the wrong decisions. So I think that there is a lot of work to do on raising just baseline awareness across the board, because because I don't want to be bored living the rest of my life as Groundhog Day, and neither does Vishal, and neither do you, but also because we need to raise the base level of competency and the base level of awareness. So look, I know we're at the end of our time. Thank you to Amazon and MyClearText for keeping us on air, keeping us captioned and accessible. Vishal, it's been a pleasure. We will definitely enjoy you interacting with us on social media as well. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Many thanks for this opportunity, and I kind of loved being here with all of you. Thank you.
We're going to come back.
Thank you.